Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room that we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast.
Not only did we not escape, we actually imprisoned.
It's a jailing room. Thank you so much, Spencer, for running the room. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing it. You guys did great.
And
It was a lot of fun.
I have no fear in saying not like any of the rooms that I have written for this season.
That's good.
Well, that was lovely. So we got through it. It was very fun. Do you want to talk a little bit about what was your inspiration for coming up with this room?
Tell us the how.
I would love to. So the concept for this room was actually the escape room that I was designing in real life when we wound up shutting down the escape room that I owned in real life. Almost all of it changed to be in audio form.
Good.
It used to be a kindergarten classroom, so you'd be like manipulating objects instead of getting notes and reading things. But the class pet was missing. There's a couple gags that I had planned that I put in this one, like the Steven the Scienceman. There was no reason for there to be like an intro jingle. It was not helpful at all, but I really wanted that gag. I've been dreaming about that gag.
Oh, it's lovely.
I do. It was great. The only frustrating part is, again, not a show of our childhoods, so I have no idea how closely referential it is.
True. Very Bill Nye, but that doesn't mean much to us.
So now I guess we have to go and watch some of that to find out.
You'll love it. It's great. And then, so there was going to be a moment in the real life version of the game where you had a shoebox that you had to pretend like it was locked and you couldn't get into it. And as soon as you pretended that, it was going to be like your childlike sense of wonder is back and the lights grow dim. And now when you go into the cardboard castle, it takes you into the other room, which is going to be this whole cardboard land. And you're going to get to talk to a little, very crude animatronic giant class pet, and the game master was going to have a little voice changer and talk to you and stuff like that.
We were recently in LA, and we played a room that had puppetry in it. So it had game master puppets so you could have chats with like animal characters and things like that. It was great fun.
It's very novelty.
This was
quite something.
Quest Room. Yeah, this was at Quest Room in LA, and it was very, very fun. If you're around and you haven't done it, go and check it out.
Now I really want to.
It was great fun.
That's quite fun. What's it called? Malediction
at Quest Room.
That was very entertaining.
That's very cool. So obviously that's a very cool concept for a physical escape room, and very ambitious, I suppose, to get that all to work.
Did it feel ambitious as you were doing it?
There was even more ambitious things to it. Like the whole final puzzle was supposed to be like a real life game of the board game Mousetrap that you would have to set up.
Oh my god!
Because the setup was that you would get the pet to pop out of the hiding spot, but they would only pop out when you were all on the other side of the room. So while on the other side of the room, you had to drop a little cage, and it was all going to be set up to be like a solar system planets on the ceiling and like motorized thing. So it was certainly ambitious. And then there was going to be the previous teacher, Mr. Kimball, was going to be a character, but he was going to have left you little video messages that he had.
Nice.
He had recorded over these little like Leapfrog Jumpstart learning cartridges, and so he could only record like 30 seconds at a time, so you had to keep finding new ones.
That's great.
That's such a fun idea. I really like that. That sounds small, but I think that's really nice.
I had so much fun actually converting it into the audio-based escape room, in writing it into the audio version and changing a lot of stuff. The whole concept of I never actually tell you what animal Meatball is, and regardless of which one you would have chosen, she would have been very upset.
Okay, I'm glad that I was so disconcerted by not knowing the entire time.
It's a Schrodinger's hamster sort of.
I was going to say, because we got imprisoned for calling her a hamster instead of a gerbil. But if we'd called her a gerbil, she would have been a hamster.
Yes, if you called her a gerbil, she would have been upset that you thought she had like a gross long tail, and that she was active. Like you thought she would be active in the daytime, like all you gross humans. Like no, she's evolved to live in the night.
That is fun.
Did you have guinea pig in there as well?
I did not actually.
Could have thrown the whole system. I don't know anything about guinea pigs.
I did say that, and I just I forgot what I improvised.
I've never even been to Guinea.
You think I need to live in pairs for my socialization?
I'm a lone wolf, baby. It was a lot of fun to get through the room. I think one of the things that like got us early on is one of the things that we've sort of noticed for ourselves in the audio format, especially like over time, over doing a lot of these, is we can be a lot like we've sort of pared down a lot of the description of rooms or like the number of objects, because we sort of go, look, if we say it's a classroom, we can
people will put the classroom picture in their head,
and so we
Sure.
kind of.
But
whereas this had a lot more.
You
stuff
gave us all the details of classroom, so it was 100% guarantee that we were visualizing the same classroom.
Yeah, which was lovely, and it just took us a little while to get back into that mindset, because once we got about halfway through the room, we had a lot more like, okay, so there'll be like, that's the element of these that's relevant. It's just the letter mat, the rest was all set dressing, and we sort of started getting through that. But at first, I've been so used to doing Danny's rooms that I just sort of went, oh no, there's so much to do in this room.
There's an overwhelming picture. And then we got 2 new locations. I panicked.
But in the end, the same, like it was the same amount of actual stuff. It was just sort of like listed ever so slightly differently, and it freaked me out for a second because it was.
And some of that was for getting past the Squire Teddy Bear into the drawbridge. It's
so
pretty much open ended. Like, as long as you go back to the real world, that was my criteria. If you go back to the real world and build something that you bring back in, as long as you do that, it's going to work, sort of thing. So I left it sort of open ended. So that's a little bit why there's a little bit extra stuff described in the beginning, so people could get more creative. I did want to say, Bill, when I first came up with the concept, I was like, okay, let me just have a couple things I could come up with, so I know the players could at least think of something. And I was like, one thing they could do is they could have gone to the stuffed animals and found one that's a lion, and it's the king of the jungle.
He's a classic piece of royalty.
Never did that cross anyone's mind in any of the playtests. It was like the first thing I thought of. And so that I was very, very happy.
Good.
I am extremely interested, and I hope other people at home are as well. I want to know what the people you play tested with came up with. I want to see how our ideas compare to theirs for all of the open bits.
Yes. So there was a lot of paper crowns.
Nice.
That was a big one. There was somebody. You know what? I'm going to out him. Tommy Haunton played this game.
Tommy.
And he went to the bunny farmers, and through a weird bit of improvisation, he had it so that the carpet being farmed was like illegal drugs. And then that was actually not even part of it. Then he took so much of the carpet that he covered himself with it and said that he was Queen Meatball.
Perfect.
And it was too funny to say no to, so I let it work. And he was like, "Wait, really? That works?"
I did wonder for a minute if we were going to have to pretend that the lollipop covered in carpet was going to be an animal.
Yeah, true.
And then one of the ones that I had like thought about, like to be clever, but no one would ever think of it, is if you take a ruler in, then they become a ruler, and they're a royal person.
That's really nice.
I am upset that we didn't do that.
We have to go back and edit the episode now. Hold on, let me just, I grab a ruler. Okay. Well, that's one. And what about, like, we used the lollipop as the key, but anything can be the key. Did most people use something like that, or did people just do whatever they wanted?
Anything could be the key. I was a little nervous about the lollipop. The lollipop is there to sort of try to get across that, like, if you bring something from the real world into the land of whimsy, it like transforms.
That makes sense. I was going to ask what the actual function of the lollipop was in the room.
Oh yeah, I could see that's what it was. The other thing was we were sort of already there a little bit, I think, which is why I was going so hard. And the Sesame Lane Lunchbox,
Yeah, true.
find it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You guys were very keyed in on that being a lunchbox early on. I didn't have any other playtests that actually keyed in on that. So really,
we're the greatest.
Also, the detail about how one kid brought a sack lunch and was missing a lunchbox. You guys keyed in on that detail, and none of my other playtests did.
That's not even escape this podcast training. That's solve this murder training. That's just a person in a conversation mentioning a detail and be like, that detail is going to be irrelevant for later.
Why would they give that weird detail?
Why would they say this?
And how did everyone else get out of their cages when they were queen trapped?
All very different. There was a blowtorch to get through stuff. There was I think just like a tractor to drive through stuff. There was, I forget, I can't quite remember actually the army men one. There was, you know what? There was a lot of redirecting
you can use a
the
blowtorch
rocket.
on them too.
There was a lot of like big shields to block the rocket and stuff. And then someone I think actually just like took the rocket launcher. I forget how it happened. They just like had the rocket launcher now and they just blew open a wall.
Nice.
So that part's supposed to be very, very fun. No matter what you say, it's gonna work. Yeah. That's supposed to be like you're Neo at the end of the Matrix, and whatever you want can happen.
It can be nice to have moments like that. I feel like I don't do that very often, but yeah, just very occasionally, still throw something like that in. But I don't think I would dare to do that long an improvable segment because I can't improv for that long. That would terrify me. So well done. But yeah, it is nice when suddenly there's a bit of panic about how much freedom you have. Well, maybe you don't get that.
I didn't. It was fine. I loved it.
I actually enjoyed it so much that I added, but the last playtest I did, I actually added in the farmer bunnies being a barricade and you being on water posters. I just added that because I really, really liked the improving at the end.
I enjoy that. I like the wanted poster. Should we make that an image that we put on merchandise?
Stop. I do like the gag of it. It's just a
Spencer, how can I monetize your work?
Hey, if I figure that out, I'll let you know.
And then also, yeah, you mentioned before we started that like there's only sort of one like puzzle in this room, which was the letter construction, and I loved that.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun doing letter construction.
That looked insane when we saw the rules for it on the whiteboard.
Yeah, and then it was super simple and really fun and very step-by-steppable, which was great.
Even then, it wasn't like when we saw the actual puzzle, we could just see the answer. We had to go through the process of doing it, and it just formed itself.
It must have been enjoyable for you to listen to us go through that, because I feel like we sort of did it exactly the way you wanted, like going upside down. Oh, a Q, that's crazy. Wait a minute. Oh my god.
Yes, this is definitely like the cleanest playthrough of that. Like everything you said in the order you said it is how I hoped it would go. Of like they're like, okay, so if we put in the O and the D, but those had a plus and a minus. These don't, but I still think we assume that it is. I was just like, yes.
How long did it take to create this and find letters that worked?
So finding letters that worked was tough. It was very fun finding, like once I set up those rules of like how the letters will turn into new stuff, finding weird combinations that were like really complex and led to actual letters was very, very fun. And I came up with a couple of them. I've no idea where I put the notes for it. But after the first couple of playtests, it was clear that I was a little mad with power because they were way, way too complicated. So that third letter K was like
that was good.
The tough stuff of like, you think you figured it out? How's this? So that wound up being as like hard I wanted it to be for the letter K.
Amazing. Were there any other letters that you had that we should try to backform and figure out how you would create them?
Oh, jeez.
All right, let's do some G's.
Okay.
It was so long ago, and I didn't actually like have it digitally. I sort of scroll notes like mad on sticky notes, which for whatever reason is what I do. But then like eventually I throw them all away, and you can only write so much on a sticky note. So I have like 11 of them that are all supposed to go together.
Oh, nice. Just for the most recent room that I was writing.
So I'll come up with some. And I'll email you.
Nice. For the most recent room that I was writing, I ended up at a point where I said, cool, here's the puzzle that I want to be in this moment to do with letters. And then I paused and I went, all right, now it's time for me to actually create the puzzle. And I don't know if this is physically possible and if letters work this way and if there are any letters that would do what I want them to do. Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
So this feels like a version of that
I love
worked.
doing that. Yeah. Most of the puzzles that I make start out as puzzles that I'm solving to see if they even are functional or possible.
So what do you start with when you create a room? What is your order of creation?
It's I don't know. I don't know if I'm trying too hard to be like different. Like I don't want to say the story because everyone starts with a story, and you pretty much have to. You pretty much have to start with a story. But I also like to immediately consider the like form that it's going to take and like the limitations of the form. Like initially, I was hoping to make initially I wanted to write a room where I didn't have to send you any images whatsoever. And I had a slightly more simplified version of the exact same whiteboard puzzle, but I would just describe it.
You end up in some of those cases where sometimes I create images that really I could have just described, but I don't know, people are probably sick of hearing me describe stuff for a while. Let's hear someone else's voice do a thing.
Yeah, sometimes instead of reading out the letter, you just say, can you read out this letter for me?
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's still it is an audio thing. You're just letting them read the script for that second.
Yeah, definitely. So it's what's the form this thing's going to take? If it's what's something that the format of this whole thing can do that something else can't, or can't do as well. So having the Steven the Science-Man sound effects bit associated words with sound effects.
Oh, that was good.
That was one of the first things I thought of. I was like, I definitely want to do something with sound effects because it's audio. Let's do something with audio.
I did feel very happy with that one because we were listening to it, and on the first playthrough, the sound effects, I was mildly paying attention to them. And then when it said, like, oh, you would be a stupid person or whatever if you thought that, you'd be wrong or whatever, and it played the chicken noise, and I went, that's not what I would have expected there.
And I will say, Danny,
noticed it from there.
That was all you. When I saw the chicken cow bomb, I was just like, this is meaningless to me. I would never have remembered that those sounds were specific to that video. So you
would have been a troubling spot to get stuck in.
Yeah, and I would have been stuck there. So good work on catching those.
And you got it off of the second listen, which was impressive. It's very good. I actually put in all this extra effort to edit the individual sound effects so I could be like, now that you've keyed in on what's going on, I'm just going to play the snippets with each of the sound effects.
But no, we didn't
have to do all that work.
Well done for your effort. This is, in all of our years of doing these, I have never put that much effort into creating audio puzzles. So good job.
There you are.
Appreciate it. It was great fun. I did it. I really liked doing that one. I felt good.
Yeah.
What else did we feel good about? So those two puzzles, felt very good about that.
Did we ever look in their backpacks for anything interesting?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You did attempt it.
We attempted.
I sort of described it unenthusiastically, and you got the sense that it wasn't very important.
Was there any reason for those to be in the room?
No. Just if you had an idea of something to do to get past the Squire Teddy Bear that would involve something in the backpack.
Cool. Yeah, it's just more options. All right, lovely.
Yeah. Same with the sink. If there's something water-based, I wanted there to be
true. How funny. Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff that was like, when you, or like if we wanted something for the key.
There were possibilities for us.
Yeah, it gave us lots of opportunities. Same with the window, I guess, was just there because windows are necessary for classrooms.
Yes, and initially it was supposed to be, in the real version of the room, there was going to be a simulated window, and that was going to be your timer for the game. It's like, when the kids have gone into the assembly, I know we're like a third of the way there.
Oh, yes, I meant to ask you about that. So there were a couple moments that we triggered, or like, there was a bell ring. Were those triggered based on particular places that we searched? Were you waiting for a particular action to trigger those?
The last two are.
Sure.
So the first one triggers once you've done most of the exploration.
Okay.
Because it takes a well enough time. And then the second one triggers right after you've finished watching the video. The reason for that is at that point, you have what you need to be able to solve the childlike wonder box to get the message of anything can be the key. But I don't want you going down that trail until Meatball has hidden in there.
That's fair.
So I need you to scare Meatball first. So that's why I forced that interaction of, oh, the kids come in. Oh, it's chaos. We got to do something and we get an orange. Let's do something with this orange.
Ah.
Oh, that's fair.
That is a good redirect.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's a
It
force.
worked.
I did have a playtest where they got the orange, but they were just like, I'm not going to do the thing because I think I've solved the sound effects thing. And I let them play all the way through it. And they went to the land of make-believe and Meatball wasn't there. And all of the bunny farmers talked about how the castle has been left dormant for years. And so then they had to go back out and scare Meatball in.
That's great.
And then
I think that's fun.
the last ring is right at the end. You've won it. Yeah. I don't play the third bell until you've won. You've got the pumpkin seeds.
Yes. Well, wonderful. Yeah, that works out. That makes sense. It was interesting because you were trying to redirect it from something that we hadn't even noticed we had already, which was the note.
Yeah.
Which we just didn't see.
Whoops.
So we didn't.
I
need
do
any
also want them to be
redirecting.
spaced out a little bit realistically. Like enough time has passed that maybe that could have been the full lunch break.
Well, the first couple of bells, when they happened, I looked at our clock and I went, that we have been going for just the right amount of time that could have been organized. Like, it wouldn't have been like a full hour or anything, but that could have been at a time that Spencer has come up with beforehand rather than an event. I assumed it was event-based, but there was a bit of doubt.
I did have one thing in the back of my head being like, okay, well, I don't think these are actual time limits. Because if they are, and he times us out of the room, I will have to just say, what are you talking about? You can't time us out of the room. We're going to solve it.
Why did you let me talk about Dunkaroos for 10 minutes?
Yeah, do I have to have a
We were
conversation with
run out of
Spencer
time.
about the format of the show? No, I'll trust. I don't think that's the case, but I'm just in the back of my head.
All right, and now I feel like there must be some discussion on the concept of childlike whimsy.
Okay, sure.
A serious discussion. Because I don't have any, and I don't think I ever did.
Do you want to discuss that childlike? Because you have a thing with this, and I agree that people always like, oh, for the creative mind of a child, they're so creative and they're not hampered by like being disillusioned. And it's like, no, kids can't imagine anything. You just tell them a thing like, yeah, I guess so.
Children follow rules. Like, isn't that the whole point of Alice in Wonderland? She goes to the world of nonsense and spends the entire time going, well, you can't do that.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. What is this nonsense?
Yeah.
And that's how she breaks out of it in the end.
Yeah. She has
by
to become an
using the
adult and
powers
have
of
whimsy.
human logic.
If this is how you need to cope with not having an imagination when you were a kid, who am I to say otherwise?
How many escape rooms did you design as a child, Danny? None. But as an adult, so much imagination.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right.
I want to talk about something way more pragmatic, which was we did the classic thing, and this was early on in this room, that we pulled out the top drawer to get to the bottom drawer.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of those ones which is either a classic fix of and that's how you meant to solve the puzzle, or the game master goes, oh, I didn't think about that.
It's always one or the other.
No, I don't think you should be able to do that.
Worst is when it's one or the other in a physical escape room.
Yeah, and you don't know whether you've broken it.
Yeah.
Like, I hope I'm not out of order. So it was interesting to start the room that way. Did everybody get that pretty much, or did some people, they need prodding and prompting?
All my playtests did right away. Yeah.
Good.
I thought I would drop a little hint in the note that people
I
usually
noticed
find
that.
later on if they hadn't found it up to that point. But almost immediately, that was everyone's first try. It was like, let's just try it. Take out the top drawer.
Did Dylan ever get his Tamagotchi back? Or her? I don't know if Dylan's gender was specified. Anyway, did Dylan get the Tamagotchi back?
Yeah. During the end credits, when it was like just music playing and there's no audio and there's a little title down below, it said Dylan got his Tamagotchi back and was mystified why it was fed and all the food was hooked up.
Did you have any part of you think, I won't make it a Tamagotchi. I'll make it a little Digimon. I'll make it a little Digimon.
Not even for a second.
What?
Not even for a second.
Were they not as big for you?
No. Digimon has always been a back burner to Pokemon. Really, I didn't know there was a Digimon little
They
handheld
had little
carry.
Tamagotchi
Oh
style
yeah,
ones.
there are Digimon Tamagotchis. You
evolve
connect them to each other, and they can fight.
Yeah, if you stick one little Tamagotchi thing to the other one, they will have a little fight, and it's great.
Are mine still on a shelf? I'm sure that we've got a Digimon sitting somewhere.
We might, but we don't need to get it now.
I'm a little upset about how cool that sounds, and that I didn't have it.
I loved Digimon so much. They were a big deal. Of course, our primary school banned them. They banned everything.
That's what primary schools are for. Banning fun.
But before that happened, my Digimon stories, one, I discovered that if you kept them at their minimum weight, they lost every fight.
Oh no.
They could not win a fight if they were at minimum weight.
Oh, they're underweight.
Yeah, I know. You had to keep them a little bit chunky. That was an interesting discovery for a child. The other thing was there was just one day, very sadly, I dropped one of my Digimon. I dropped one of them. And the entire top half of the screen blanked out. And it was just, I could still see its legs walking around the screen, but the top was blank. And that made
You're
me...
a screen's half full kind of gal.
That made me the most popular child in the world of Digimon at my school. I had the mutant half Digimon, and everyone wanted to battle me.
And they always won because you were underweight. That was a real reason they wanted to battle.
Oh, no, it's just, that's our little imagination kids have. Something like a half screen wipe entrances them.
Well, look, I had so much fun playing through the room. Thank you so much for coming on and running it for us.
It was wonderful.
It was a very great
happy
room.
experience.
It was an honor. It was great.
So for people now, you mentioned in the first episode that you've made another game. If people wanted to find that and know some extra little details and facts about it, where can they find it?
Sure. The game is called Lost in the Shuffle, a double-dealing card game. Or what? I forgot the subtitle. A double-dealing puzzle game.
It's your subtitle!
Hey, you said that you would edit out all of my goof-ups.
Not that one. That one's staying in.
Oh, yes. Oh, dang.
9.5
out of 10 on Board Game Geek.
Nice. That's pretty good.
That's amazing.
People are liking it. Yeah, people are liking it.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, if anyone's curious, you can check out spencerispuzzling.com. Or if you Google Lost in the Shuffle, hopefully I'm up there somewhere at the top of Google.
Hopefully.
Just as a point, Settlers of Catan, 7.1. If you need some reference points.
Settlers of the Catan is a 10 because when you first play it, it's like the first time you've experienced a real game.
True.
And then you get into the hard stuff and you realize, like, oh, okay. That was
all right, let's go for a more recent one. Wingspan. 8.1 out of 10.
Oh, 8.1.
I'm still feeling lost in the shuffle here.
It's doing pretty good.
Well, Jamie Stegmaier will one day be a successful game designer, but till then, his games will have to
play second fiddle.
Sit in the eights.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. It was wonderful. And Danny, thanks for playing together.
Thank you. Fun. I think it worked. I solved sound puzzles, and you believed in stuff.
I believed in fun. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was, it was good to have you here with us.
Stay tuned for some outtakes where we talked about various things from our childhood.
Now I have to do outtakes. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help support the show, go tell a friend. Go tell someone. Jump online. Pretend we're a board game and review us on Board Game Geek. Give us a 9.6. Just that's the easiest way. Look, people listen to podcasts because people tell them to listen to podcasts. They don't usually follow little social media ads. So word of mouth is a super helpful thing. If you want to also support in a more money way, you can sign up for the Patreon. There's lots of fun little bonus things over for people who donate monthly. Anyone at any level can appear as an NPC in one of Danny's rooms.
Spencer, I don't know if you followed this plan, but do you have any friends that you named the NPCs in this room after? Do you know a Meatball? Do you know a Spencer?
Yes, I do. Well, Meatball is named after the late hamster of my wife, who had a little hamster named Meatball. Yeah.
Good name. Well chosen. That was lovely.
There was a different name for the Juliana character, But now that's named after Juliana of the Wild Optimists.
I thought it
because
might be.
Friends of the show, the Wild Optimists. But they playtested the game, and Ariel said that I had to change the name of a candy-obsessed child to Juliana. So you can read into that what you will.
I'm glad I said that I liked her then.
And then the principal's name is Miss Schlowski, which is another Kindergarten Cop reference.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, okay.
And in the beginning, the kid that gets yelled at outside for putting stuff in his mouth is named Tommy, because Tommy Houghton eats dirt. That's just a thing that he does. He just picks it up and puts it in his mouth.
That sounds right.
Naturally.
Oh, wonderful. No, that's there. That's true. And there's other. So that's the fun. And if you were a Spencer patron, that would have been there.
You
that
eating
could have
dirt.
been you eating dirt.
Yes. Shout out to our newest Patreon subscriber, Miss Schlowski.
There's also there's bonus audio for all our $5 donors. There's a whole series of 2-minute mysteries that we solve, and all the playtest audio, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. There's monthly vlogs for the $10 donors, where we'll review escape rooms and TV shows, or do other fun little video content. And there's trivia for the $20 donors, and there's a whole bunch of other fun stuff.
You're getting less and less enthused as the levels go up.
Oh, they know how cool they are. They get cool stuff. It's a great place to be. It's a fun community, and it helps support us. We don't run ads on the show, and that's why we don't, because we have the capacity to make a living that way. So thank you so much for everybody who does donate, and if you don't donate, that's also fine. But it's fun. It's free entertainment. It's here for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Danny, for playing, and thank you one last time,
Thank
Spencer,
you so
for running
much,
the room.
Spencer.
It was so much fun.
Thank you both. This was so great.
Goodbye, everybody.
Farewell.